Hey, welcome to the Team Superdad podcast. We are live today. My name's Johnny Jensen. I'm the founder and creator, yes, of the Team Superdad community and the Hero Academy program. Why are we live today? We are live because we have an absolutely epic guest on for you, not just for dads, although this chap is a dad, but also anybody who is feeling like at a crossroads in their life. They're questioning quite what comes next, reflecting on choices made, looking to reinvent themselves. This guy has had to do that, actually, as I'm finding out, on multiple occasions. So Mark Ormrod, MBE, and all-round general dude and epic dad. You're going to love this. Roll the theme.
Welcome to Team Super Dad. Real dads creating their best lives ever. More time, more money, more fun. You are not alone. You're on Team Super Dad.
Hello, Mr. Ormrod. Mark, great to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us today on Team Super Dad show.
Mate, what an epic intro. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
Thanks very much. Do you know, people do say that, and I put it together quite quick and found the music and got a guy to help make it, and I keep thinking I need to change it because it's a bit cheesy, and then everyone keeps saying, "Oh, I love it." So like, okay, let's keep. It
reminded me of like Shaft, you know, back in the day.
It exactly is definitely some of that, some inspiration from my funk and soul musical interest. So yeah, Mark, you're so many things, but people might have seen you recently for your reorg, charity challenges, the 1 kilometer open sea swim, 5K run. Okay, yeah, quite impressive, maybe. But it's when they find out that you're a triple amputee. There it is.
There's one of them. The other two are under the desk.
Not much of an arm there. That could be useful when you do a swim in the sea. But yeah, also Invictus Games medalist, a dad, most important part of your you're a dad and a husband. But I'm also just finding out about some of your entrepreneur work and how you've built up your finances and how your future is being put together based on so much of your drive. And so that's what part of this show today is all about. You know, there's so much content online, lots of interviews, and yeah, for the people that don't know you, we'll touch on some of that. But we're also really interested for the Team Super Dad community to talk about the dad stuff, and because you know I share this at the beginning for people that are just tuning in. Like, why should you listen? Team Super Dad is all about kickstarting your life, creating the life that you desire, not the life that you feel stuck in. And that could be around your work, your relationship. It could be frustration with your kids. You know, men, we're so told to just get on with it, make the money, be happy. And it's when we don't take the struggle of that seriously that it can all go wrong. And people are welcome to come and be part of the Team Super Dad community and hear more about what that actually involves. But today on this podcast, we're going to dig into some of those subjects so that people can feel inspired by how you have had to reinvent yourself and overcome things that other people might have crumbled in the face of. So what do people say when they introduce you? What are the bits? Because people say loads of things about you, don't they? Oh, soldier, ex-commando, triple amputee. What do you like when people introduce you? What do you like people to say about you?
Never really thought about it, if I'm honest. It generally is, you know, former Royal Marines commando, triple amputee, things that you just said. You know, Invictus Games athlete. It's very hard and. In fact, it's funny you say it because a lot of the time prior to podcasts, interviews, shows, that kind of stuff, people say, look, what do you do? How do you want me to introduce you? Yeah. And we talked off air just now and I was telling you about like the 50,000 different things I got going on. And I was like, well, what do I do? Because I sit in this camp and this camp and this camp and this camp. How do I umbrella it all? And what kind of umbrella do I put it all under? So I just thought, well, it's 90% of it, I would say, is entrepreneurial. So I kind of just, I guess a good thing would be former Royal Marines Commando, triple amputee, and entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a decent way to intro me.
It is.
That's what I'll go with from now on.
I'll add to that, and this is why it's an interesting question, right? Dad, husband, son.
Right.
Are you a brother? Have you got siblings?
I got a twin sister. I'm an author. It's just mental. So I think
when you put those everyday bits in, that someone else can go, oh yeah, I'm a dad, I'm a brother, I'm a son.
Yeah.
And you can look at Harry Kane, or you can look at like someone, you know, actor or dancer, like anything we might aspire to, like, oh, I could never do that. But at the end of the day, when they go home and shut the front door, they're back to daddy, husband.
Right. Yeah.
Son. And that's the leveler for us all, because it's easy to put people up on a pedestal and fail to realize what's actually going on. Social media, people must make judgments or expectations of you. Do they through you know, based on what they see on social media?
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do, and I've been very lucky in the social media realm in that for the 12 plus years that I've been on it, on various different platforms, 99.99% of it has only ever been positive.
Yeah.
I've had one or two people, and I get it, and that's why I don't react to it. You know, I'll get people, maybe, you know, they know I deployed in my past to Iraq, you know, and to Afghanistan, and I'll get the negative comments about you're a murderer and all this kind of stuff, you know, just angry, ill-informed people that stereotype and don't really understand, well, certainly don't understand me, but didn't really understand my job either. So I just let it go, you know. It's no big deal, but 99.99999% of it is all good. Yeah.
Well, that's how to be honest, I say that's how I first came across you was a few months back when you were training for your 5K run, and the video where you slipped over. And on the wrap up, we do a podcast on Friday evenings, which is the wrap up of the week. Glenn and I, and occasionally some other dads, and it's just a piss take. It's just we're just chatting about what's been happening that week. How was work? How was life? Did we have any fun? Are we fit? You know, just taking the piss. We do a hot in the night, trying to remember who we back in the days of lads mags who we ogled over and stuff. And then your video came up, and you've got your blades on, and you went arse over tit on the concrete. I just like it was funny. I mean, but it was the funniest part of it was when your coach or mate tried to help you up. You know, F off. You're like you just pushed him back, and I just saw your drive and your like just the blokeness of it there, like, you know, space. What's that? Obviously the response to that video was pretty huge in terms of this last wave of stuff you've been doing. It seemed to kind of ignite around that video. Was that the case?
Yeah, I literally checked it this morning. It's at like 7 million views. Wow. I can't keep up with the comments that are on it, and thousands and thousands of shares. But
what did you say? I mean, we do have swearing on here, but it's sort of daytime. What did you say? Because did he come to help you, or you were just like, get off? Or like, I don't need
I didn't. No, I didn't lose my temper with him.
No, I know.
You got a bit. I was super tired because I just ran about 2.2k.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed because I hit the deck.
Yeah.
But for me, in many different situations as a triple amputee, if I end up on my ass, or if I'm getting in and out of a car, or I've got to go up and downstairs, I have certain techniques and like routines that I go through.
Yeah.
So when I fall, especially on running blades, I have a set way to get up, and for me it requires space. I basically go onto my knees, do the splits as far as I can, put my arm on the floor so I'm forming a triangle, and then gradually spider walk my hand back till I'm upright.
Right.
But people, and even Ben, I've known Ben for years. He's trained me for years, but we never ran together before. So even people that know me don't necessarily know that, and all they want to do is help, right? Which you understand. But sometimes that help can be a hindrance. So, and I'm always very aware that stay polite, Mark. Don't say F off, I'm good, and get angry. Just be like, I don't exactly remember what I said, but it would have been along the lines of, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Just give me some space.
Yeah, it was.
And then we got up and we cracked on.
But there's a lesson there, I think, for all of us, whether it's, that speaks to me quite a lot about over helping our kids as a dad. And like always trying, when my ex-wife now was sick, I now realize in hindsight, I tried too much to help her get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She probably needed space, and she needed me to just get on with my own stuff, not try epically to fix her.
And there's a lot to be said for that. And I'll put this into context with regards to like my recovery.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, that was exactly what it was like. Even though I was in a military environment, you got wrapped in cotton wool. It was very rare that you'd even, when you got to the stage where you could walk around semi-confidently, it was very rare that you'd go outside because it might be windy or it might be slippy or the gradients and the terrain might be too tricky. And very early in my recovery, I posted about it. So it's the 10th of June now. Yesterday, 9th of June, 2009, I flew out to America. So it's my 12-year anniversary yesterday. I'm not using a wheelchair. And they did the complete opposite. This is not what they said, but this was how I kind of vocalized a change in attitude. I'll hit the deck. They're like, get up, knobhead, let's go. Do you know what I mean? It was tough love. And it was rough. Like 3 weeks I went out there, and it was literally, you come across a set of stairs out in the mall or something, for example.
Yeah.
And before it would be like, oh yeah, we'll take the lift, or oh, can you help carry my bag? They're like, just get up the stairs, mate. What are you doing? Hurry up, I'll meet you at the top. And these are able-bodied people, right? And it was very much that, let's not mollycoddle him. This is life. And I always remember they said to me, the world will not adapt to you. You have to adapt to the world. And it's true. If I travel to a country where, the terrain is very hilly, for example, I don't know, or somewhere like Italy where it's all cobbled, cobblestones are not tarmac. For me, it's a lot more difficult to walk on. They're not going to tarmac Italy for me, are they? If I go out there on holiday, I've got to deal with the cobbles. And they taught me that early on. So yeah, absolutely, that you've got there's that line, I think, as well with your kids where you help them to a degree, but they've got to do stuff themselves. And I'm going through that right now with my 16-year-old. She's just left school like 2 weeks ago, trying to get a job. I've helped her with a part-time job, and now she's going through the apprenticeship process. And I'm very conscious that I will be there to do everything I can. But at the same time, I'm like, just get on with it. All you got to do is make a phone call, send an email, follow it up. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get knocked down. That's part of the process. Suck it up, move on to the next one. But I don't say that to her. But I'm very much like, I'll give her a clear, what I think is a clear direction. And then I'll wait 1 day, 2 days, whatever it is, for it to hear back. I won't be constantly emailing and messaging and calling every hour. So how'd it go? What are you doing now? You got to do it yourself. Even at 16, I was pretty much on the cusp of starting Royal Marine recruit training at her age. Yeah. So you just got to dive in there early. You're not in school anymore. You're in the real world now. And do you, as a dad, did you do that when they were younger as well? Do you feel like that's been a style of your parenting their whole life? I think so. So my eldest daughter is from a previous relationship. Right, okay. So, it's been a roller coaster over the years. Sometimes we've had real good contact early on, not so good, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very much, this is what I like to think my parenting style is, right? All three of them. They'll always know I'm there when they need me, but I'll always sit in the background and let them figure stuff out for themselves. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of a good example right now, and I'm not judging, but you see some parents that are constantly, oh, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, let me do this, and trying to over-guide their kids. And you know what I mean? They're like there for everything, every second of the day. And one, I don't think that's unhealthy. I think that's unhealthy. And two, it's not really helpful. because there'll come a point when they're 25 years old and they're looking for you, and you're like, you're 25, sort it out yourself. But they've never had to build that resilience and that self-reliance to even the little things. You know, my other two, so Kezia is 16, Mason is 9, Evelyn is 7. Even now, I'm kind of like, figure it out. I'll be here if you really, really need me, but figure it out, type thing, you know?
And is there a part of that which then flips into role model, where you're leading by example as much as anything?
This is what I like to think that I do. So like I just said, I haven't used a wheelchair for 12 years. They won't get this right now because they're too young.
Right.
I get up every day at 5:30. My son, I have to tell him to go back to bed because he'll get up and into the bed with me now at 5 to 6 nearly every day when he hears me get up. I work like harder than I ever have when I had all my limbs. I'm always traveling, working. I'm on a computer, a laptop, a phone, doing what I need to do to build. And although they don't always know what I'm doing, they always see, you know, I don't use a wheelchair. I use prosthetics every day. I still go to the gym and train. I don't make excuses. I'm still hustling, working, building. You know, I could just sit back and go, you know, I'm retired. I could have technically retired at 24 years old, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can tell them a lot of stuff and, you know, give them inspirational quotes or whatever it is. But if they see you doing the opposite, later on when they grow up, they'll see that conflict in what you say and what you do. And I guess the congruency is gone. But if they see you getting up every day doing things and saying things, then they know that you mean it. You know what I mean? You're not just talking, because they see you doing it every day. So, you know, I just hope that through the things that I do, they see that, and later on when they maybe do face some challenges, it will start to click, you know?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, especially moving from toddlers into kids, and then you're moving from kids into tweenies. Like both mine are hardcore practicing their teenage skills right now at 7 and 9. Boy 11, girl 9. Puberty at the same time. Lovely.
Yay.
But and then into teenage years, I got mates who of course kids are teenagers, and just thinking, right, well, there's no point saying to your teenager, why don't you talk to me, if you've never really spoken to them when they were kids. And I like that because we spend so much time chatting and how's it going, how's your day, and what's any good bits, any bad bits, what are you creating at the moment, you know, they're trying to be leaders when they can at school. They're putting their hand up to be in the play or to volunteer for things. And it's like, yes, that's when I see them doing that, I'm thinking, yes, they've picked up on my words and my actions. And who knows when they become a teenager.
There's even silly little things, right? Like with my two youngest now, if they want something, like if we go into a toy shop, for example, and they want a packet of Pokemon cards, right? They got the money and that's what we've gone there for. They can't find them. I'm like, well, go and ask somebody. Oh, I don't want to, Daddy. I'm a bit embarrassed. I'm shy. What's the worst that can happen? Just go and ask them. So you almost, you know, trying to get that confidence instilled in them from an early age. And I certainly at 7 and 9 would not have gone up to a shopkeeper and said, can you help me with this? I would have sent my parents. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, those things are really important. Those life skills, people skills, that confidence, being able to go and do that. Do you know what I mean? Because I know it seems small, but it's effectively teaching them to overcome their fears at an early age. You know, it's uncomfortable. They don't want to do it. You've made them do it. Whether they realize it or not, they'll get that little dopamine hit at the end because they've done it and they've achieved their objective. And, you know, hopefully they'll learn a little lesson from it.
Yeah. And that is mega what you just said there. The science behind some of these things, the reaction, the habitual ways of being, the reward rather than the fear mechanism. Absolutely. Yeah. Did you get that at home when you were a kid, or did you get that where did you get that in the army, or where did you pick this up for yourself?
I just think it's things that I've learned in life through experience, through self-education, self-development, whatever I've done in my life, places I've been, experiences I've had, you just kind of learn it as you go. It's things like, I just look at, like, for example, public speaking.
Right.
That's something that I do. It's something that I was very uncomfortable with doing in the beginning, but I coached myself and educated myself and taught myself to overcome that and be a lot more confident with that. And it's got to be that skill in itself has got to be one of the most impactful, powerful skills in the world. Because when you grow up, if you're in a job, if you're that guy, there's 5 people in a room, right? And there's a promotion coming up. They've all got the exact same skill set. They work at the exact same hours. They got the exact same job title. But one of them is able to get up and present, or isn't afraid to go and ask the hierarchy this question, that question. They're going to stand out in front of the others, right? And I think they teach it a lot in America, because American kids seem to be very confident and able to stand up in front of a room and present and do show and tell. But over here, they don't. They you ask them to do a 30-second presentation and everyone clams up. We don't really teach those kind of things in school. So as a parent, you kind of, to whatever degree you want to, I guess, you need to pick up the ball and teach them that, and be like, you need just develop your confidence at an early age. And, more than that, the whole failure is feedback thing. Do you know what I mean? Failing at something doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means you've not figured out how to do it yet. And you need to be resilient and keep pushing forward and figure out another way. This is why I don't want to go down this road, because this is my opinion. But the whole thing that, I don't know if they do it here or not, but like this whole participation trophy thing, everyone's a winner. You're just teaching kids that you're taking away that gift of teaching them to bounce back from failure and Absolutely. To push a little bit harder.
Well, sports day is a classic one for me. Have a running race. Come last, come first, come last, but be in the race. Every race you lost, you finished ahead of anyone who didn't enter that race.
Mate, I felt a little bit silly actually. A couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, at the youngest kids' sports day, I didn't know that you're not allowed to cheer anymore. Apparently, that's the thing. So my kids start on, come on, Mason, and all their other parents are looking at me like, and no one else is cheering. And then my wife says, "You're not allowed to do that anymore at sports day." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, you're not allowed to cheer anymore because it's not encouraging for other kids." I don't know what her reasoning was, but I was just like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah." I don't know, as well as the confidence and everything else, resilience is a big thing that we need to teach as parents. That the ability to bounce back from failure. Teach them that failure is okay. In fact, it's better than okay. It's good, because you've learned something from it, and then be resilient enough and flexible enough to keep moving forward and try something new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's these are really, I think they're really important things that we don't really teach.
They start off as values for an individual, but then their core attributes to what it is to survive and thrive in life. The perfect segue into a different subject. But before we get into that, let's just mention a couple of the places where people can come and connect with you. And I know you've got the Facebook supporters group. Tell us a little bit about that and why people should go over there, and just some of the stuff that you're doing. That and then we'll touch on to reorg, and then dip into what it's been like building yourself back up. So yeah, tell us about the supporters group and some of the things you've got going on.
Yeah, so I have a Facebook supporters group. I've got my main page, and then at the top of the page is a little blue button that says become a supporter, and it's a subscription-based private supporters community. And I'm in the early stages of building it now to create content for it and value for the people in there. But it's something Facebook introduced, I think, last year. I only found out about it after Christmas. So people join up if they like what you do, the content you deliver, what you're all about, if you know, whatever it is, they'll pay like £3.49 a month, I think.
Yeah, I'm in
come
it.
into
I pay it. Yeah.
right, and you're in this private community. So the great thing, first of all, I thought, well, it drowns out a lot of the negativity that comes with social media, because this is a private enclosed group. You're not likely to pay money to be in a group if that's about empowering and supporting each other, if you're a negative person, right? So it kind of keeps all that out. But then what it does do, then the opposite is, it does create that environment of empowerment, community support, and it brings people together that have that similar mindset and that similar ethos, I think, and values.
Yeah.
You know, there's 181 people in there now, and I've sat back and just read comments and stuff at the moment just to watch it grow, and it's really good, because I didn't really encourage this, but it's what I wanted to happen, was that people were just in there supporting each other, right? And it's just kind of organically happened. Now, in the background, I'm creating routines, schedules, systems, and everything to start pushing more content out myself, and you know, all sorts of bits and pieces, giveaways, prizes, meetups, all that kind of stuff. But so far, it's just organically morphed into what I had as a vision, and I haven't really done a lot to create that. The people in there have just created it. And you know, if you want to talk about the entrepreneurial kind of side of it, you know, I left my job in February, and I've never been busier. Even though I don't technically have a job, I've never been busier. So I saw that then as a way of creating a revenue stream where I could do what I love, I could help people, I could do it anywhere in the world as long as I've got a smartphone, and I can still live and provide for my family, you know? So, and what is exciting and equally scary about it is the scalability of it. So there's 181 people in there right now. There's 36,000 people on my Facebook page. And if they all just go up and click that button and they pay that subscription, I don't know what £3.49 times 36,000 is, but it's a shit ton of money. You know what I mean? And I have a vision for that as well, what I would do with that, or percentages of that to give back and to help other people in a kind of charitable, no, it's not, I don't want to say charitable way, because it's not charity, it's in an empowering way.
Yeah, it's
to help people.
It's fueling your enterprise, fueling your mission. You can't what's I heard someone say, it was like a Jim Rohn or someone, but you know, you can't, if you haven't got any money, you can't do anything in the world. Right.
Exactly. Right. So for example, if that group was generating £10,000 a month, and I keep seeing, and you have to be careful with this, but if I see someone that recurring, you know, over the weeks and months, that maybe has financial difficulties, or I don't know, maybe has a disabled son or daughter that needs a bit of kit, and it costs £1,000, right? And like I say, you have to be careful with this. But if there was an opportunity then where I can go, I can help that person, and this group's generating money, I'll just be like, and you're done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Two Christmases ago, there was a guy in the Team Super Dad group, and transpired he didn't know where he was going to get presents from for his kids. I got talking to him, transpired he had no bloody carpet in his house. And I didn't know what to do. And a guy called Daniel Latto, an awesome guy, he said, we got to do something for this guy. Mm-hmm. And between the Team Super Dad group and his community was very generous, we raised about £1,000, put carpet in this bloke's house before Christmas. Mm-hmm. I spoke to a church in his village, in a town in Wales, and they were doing a Christmas community like thing. So he suddenly had somewhere to go on Christmas Day. And then we had like a £400 voucher to go and spend in Argos. So he got presents for all the kids.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to big us up. If anything, Daniel was the real driving force behind that. But just mega that you can impact people's lives in that way. And I know that you probably think this as well. When you send stuff out like that, the ripples the ripples come back for sure.
Could almost create like an army for goodness with that supporters group. Do you know what I mean? And I know over time what I'll do is I'll develop a group of admins, which I guess like in a business would be like trustees or board members. And then you want to make these decisions, we just put it to a group, and you know what I mean, and just build and build and build and build. But the beauty of it is that you're not under anyone else's direction. You haven't got higher ups telling you can't do this, you can't do that. Do you know what I mean? If I see the opportunity to do some good, I can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So definitely, if you search Facebook, it's literally, if you search Mark Ormrod supporters group, or if you search Mark Ormrod, you get Mark's page and you get the supporters group. So go over and do that. So we've spoken about being a dad, and I think that's absolutely bloody perfect way to start this chat, really. And in the second section, let's talk about what it's been like rebuilding and creating your life as it is now. Because, and the reason this is so important to Team Superdad is so many families, so many dads at the top of their families are faced with these kind of choices. Am I doing the right job? Have we got enough money? Is this the right place to live? Is our relationship working? Are we going to break up or not? Like, these seem like monumental, life-changing choices, but that's all like a frame. Mm-hmm. Monumental, life-changing is when you step on a mine and get most of your bits blown off, you know, like, so for you, it wasn't a choice. And I think that is, you know, if we can sort of piece this together, the inspiration I hope for dads listening will be, oh my gosh, okay, well, I can choose what happens next, and then I can I can grow with it. My family can benefit from it. So what's it like? I used to read a lot of comics, like Battle was my favorite comic. They you know, kind of World War II, you would walk into a blown up church and they would hit a tripwire and they would stop and they would kind of work on fixing the mine. So it's like, do you have any memory of treading on that bloody mine? Like, how much of a cock up was that? Was it just instantaneous, or what happened?
I have every memory of it. And there's no click or 2-second delay.
Yeah.
Obviously there are thousands of variants of IEDs, but the one I stood on was just, you know, I didn't even know I stood on it. And I was, next thing I know, the dust cloud settles, you know, I look around and 3 of my limbs are just shredded off my body. And I'm lying in a pool of blood, dying in a crater.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is that me and the lads would always talk about stepping on IEDs, you know, because I was in Afghanistan, right? And I think a lot of people know what the terrain's like. It's very sandy and it's very dusty, but it's not like sand you find at a beach. It's very hard, compact kind of sand. So if people dig into that ground, it's pretty obvious that they've been digging in there.
Like a molehill.
Well, you just see the disturbed ground, and you know it's not flat, and it would be pretty obvious. But where I stood on the IED was in like a little bowl, and it had been raining for like 3 or 4 days. So I guess where they dug in, the rain had smoothed, you know, debris had rolled down the sides, and it smoothed over, and there was 0 ground sign, you know, nothing to indicate at all that there were actually 6 of these IEDs in the area that we were walking around, but no ground sign at all to show any indicators. Yeah. So it was literally, and I know it's cliche and people say that your life can change in a heartbeat or quicker, but it's literally, I'm walking, and then next minute there's a big cloud of smoke, and then 2 seconds after that I'm looking at where my legs should have been and my arms should have been, and they're not there. And you just in this chaotic, frantic, adrenaline fueled panic trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because a split second ago you were just about to take a fire position, and now your life is completely different if you survive at all. Yeah, you know, and it's very surreal. I think anybody who has been in a traumatic incident will know what I mean when I say it's surreal. Like, time slows down externally but speeds up internally, and you can't really comprehend what you're looking at. Your brain kind of freaks out and it's like, this doesn't make sense to me, especially if you're not in pain, which I wasn't. So yeah, I remember it all from the minute I stepped on it to the medic evacuating me, to falling out the back of the vehicle that was evacuating me, then getting on the back of a helicopter, and then passing out and dying temporarily. Yeah, it's a pretty hectic Christmas Eve that time.
It was Christmas Eve.
It was, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Your wife would have got the call at Christmas.
She did, yeah. She was in Surrey with her parents, wrapping presents up. I was due home the day before New Year's Eve for 2 weeks R&R, midway through the deployment. And she got the phone call saying I'd been injured.
Wow. And would you class your relationship as like healthy, close? You know, it was you were a tight team, were you? There was no kind of friction in your relationship at that point.
There was zero friction, but we'd only been together for about 11 and a half months.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
There's like, is she going to hang in there? Does she really want this?
Yeah. So my eldest daughter, I think I said it earlier, she's from a previous relationship. Yeah. You know, she was born in 2005 and I was injured Christmas 2007. So I had, you know, that relationship had ended. I had got into a new relationship with my now wife. We'd been together about 11 and a half months when I deployed, and she just finished university. So I was 24, she was 21. So very young, whole life ahead of her. Now she finds out her boyfriend, well, she only thought I'd lost a foot. It wasn't until they got to the hospital they realized the severity of my injuries. So she had every right, and no one would have blamed her for walking away, but she didn't, and she stuck around.
I mean, a lot of couples avoid difficult conversations. You know, like, can we have sex? Like, how difficult is that conversation? Should be quite easy, but in a fractured relationship, you're like terrified to even ask, can we have sex tonight? Let alone, what are your goals for this year? Do you want to go back to work? Do you want to change career? Do you want to stick with the bloke who's just been blown to bits? Like, is communication something that was a cornerstone of your relationship before, or has it become even more so? Obviously, you're married, you've been together 10 years, so I'm sure it has, but like, talk to me about communication as far as your relationship goes.
Yeah, we talk all the time. We talk, we moan about either each other or family or work. I'm not going to lie about any of that stuff. We have all those conversations that people maybe don't talk about outside of the house. We have banter, which I think makes it quite good. We bounce off each other.
Yeah.
We have little fallouts like anyone else, but you know, I'm 37. I went, like most blokes, through an array of girlfriends and relationships growing up, and I've never had less arguments than I have with my wife now. In 12 years, we've probably had less fallouts and arguments than I had in one 6-month relationship when I was 19. You know, we just click, we just get on, we bounce off each other, we support each other. I understand fully how lucky I am to find that, because in the past it definitely wasn't the case. Do
you think that's about aligned values? Do you think that you click because you've got similar values,
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't stress out about money. We're more about adventures and memories. And you know, I hope this doesn't sound like I'm bragging or anything, but what my situation has brought is a lot of opportunity, and we always get offered crazy things like these really nice holidays to exotic places, and it's all free. And I mean, this weekend we're going to a caravan in Bideford. That's where we're happiest. Yeah. We're going to some tin box in Bideford, right? To go to some kids, I think it's called the Milky Way and the Big Sheep. We'll go and just chill out there for the weekend, and you know, maybe go paddle boarding or something. I don't know, but we have we're very low maintenance. You know, we could win £1 billion and we'd still go to a caravan. It's not, money's important. I get that, you need to survive, but it's not our number one value at all. You know, we are our happiest certainly my happiest is on Friday or Saturday when we close the curtains, put on a DVD and order a pizza. You know, some people want to go out to fancy restaurants and spend £1,000 and drink champagne and all that glam stuff. We just like to get in our pajamas at 7 o'clock on a Friday night and just chill, you know? So yeah, I think it's definitely a values thing.
Yeah. And that's why I said at the beginning about you can be Superman, you can be super footballer, you can be super soldier, you know, but at the end of the day, like on a Friday night when that door shuts, your husband, friend, daddy, and it's about how you value those times. So when you started to put yourself back together and make a plan, were the plans you had for, let's talk, you know, we're going to touch on here about your entrepreneurial side and what you've had to learn and develop in yourself. Was that part of your toolbox when you were in the army? Were you already thinking about self-development and entrepreneurship back then, or were you just thinking, I'm a squaddie, actually you weren't just a squaddie, were you? You're a commando, right? Is that's like you're a bit of a badass, yeah.
A little bit.
No, I think sorry, let me ask about that. Do you think that's part of why you're so driven now, because you were, you know, you're top of the game in as far as soldiers go? Is that part of your makeup, is just to be relentless and keep going?
To be relentless, but to be smart at the same time. So
a good soldier is a soldier that's alive. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
but I don't think, and I say this to everybody, like being disabled, you couldn't have picked a better time in human history to be disabled right now. And I know we're going to lead into this talking about entrepreneurial stuff, but you know, I've got 4 fingers and 1 thumb. As long as I've got a smartphone, I can run a business. Yeah. As long as I've got a smartphone, I can increase my footprint online with podcasts, social media posts. You know, we just talked about the Facebook supporters group. I can create an income stream. I don't need both arms, both legs, a big network, you know, be grinding 28 hours a day to be quote unquote successful. So you've got to have that, you know, I take that Royal Marines mindset and then I try and mix it with a bit of IQ, bit of EQ, and work smart, you know, and do the things that I want to do to build the kind of life that I want to have, you know, and you've got to have balance in it. Back in the, you know, when me and Becky first met, all that was available online really was MySpace. Yeah. And I remember when she had an account, I'm like, you're a nerd. Why are you going on putting pictures on the internet of you going out drinking with your friends? What a stupid thing to do. And now I'm like the most social media intense bloke that she's ever met, because I understand the value of it now. I use it for a design specific purpose. Yeah. But yeah, I think I went a little bit off piece there with that answer. But
you, I think what you shared there was that anybody with a goal, an ambition, a vision, can go out there and achieve it. And it doesn't start with knowledge; it starts with a willingness. And then an idea of like, well, okay, that's what I want to achieve. I believe it's possible. Who else has done it before me? Where can I learn from? Who can I emulate? Who can I ask? Who can I get involved?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's what I really like now is when I look at people in the military, I know numerous people that are still serving, but run side businesses, coffee companies, clothing companies, whatever it may be, security companies, you know, as a partner with some guy or girl or whatever. And that I really like that. You know, I used to, when I worked for the Royal Marines charity, part of my job every 2 weeks was that I would go and speak to the recruits that were in week 28 and sign them up to the Royal Marines Association. And I'd always say to them, lads, you're just about to start this career, right? So this is probably not even on your radar, but it's never too early to start thinking about the next step or the additional step. You know what I mean? If you're doing this and you want to have a business on the side, you can do this now because you have a smartphone. You know, back when I was in, you know, it was only 2001, but you were still using payphones back then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's so much more opportunity now for people to do either completely alternative stuff to what they're doing now, or stuff that complements what they're doing to help build and build and build, you know. And these things come along in life that you don't expect. You could stand on a mine, your girlfriend could get pregnant, you might lose your job. You need to have those things in place, those backups in place, just trickling along in the background so you can pivot if you need to.
Yeah. What about people that say, "Oh, well, I want to, I just haven't got time." That's got to be the number one excuse out there, basically, hasn't it?
I don't understand. So this is one of the things I'm trying to do with the entrepreneurial stuff I do, without coming across like a dick, right? My whole messaging behind it is, I've got one hand, right? I have time. I have 3 children. I have one hand. I have about, I think off the top of my head, 3 businesses, 3 or 4 collaborations and partnerships. I run 7 social media platforms. I've got 3 email addresses. I have time because I have systemized, automated, prioritized, collaborated with people, and put everything in place where I don't have to be working 23, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And that's all. A lot of that is through self-education. And I'm by no means like super successful in those areas, but I'm chipping away at it a bit at a time, and I'm getting there. And soon enough, I will be. And then I want to try and encourage other people. You know, my aim was really to kind of encourage disabled people, you know, because there are a lot of people out there that don't, if they become disabled, they don't want to just sit on their ass and do nothing. Do you know what I mean? They want to do something that lights them up, something that gives them a purpose, but that they can earn a living from. They don't want to live on handouts. And I'm trying to do this to say, look, you don't have to if you don't want to. But then the side effect, hopefully, is that able-bodied people will see it as well and realize that you can work a job and run a business, and there is time.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to get blown to bits to be motivated, to find inspiration.
No. Yeah, I still train pretty much every day as well. You know, I get up at 5:30 every day through choice. You know, and I don't sleep like 3 hours a night. I get a good 7 hours every night. But I've just kind of over the years structured my days, weeks, months into a way where they're efficient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can do things.
Well, health and fitness for me are one of the, I've called it the F5, right? Fitness is one of the F5: focus, fitness, finance, family, and fun. And any human, man or woman, needs their health and fitness. And that doesn't have to be that you're going to win a triathlon, finish a triathlon. It does have to be, get your heart pumping, be at an appropriate weight, be able to lift your toddler out of the car when they're asleep, or, you know, outrun your teenager at the park just for kicks.
Yeah.
This is, and feel confident when you get naked with your partner. Like, these demons, these things that cause our inner voice to run a number on us, can so easily be addressed by 20 press-ups a day, doing a park run on a Saturday morning. And I want as many men and their families to put health and fitness as just part of their everyday life. Like you clean the car or hoover the carpet, you just do a bit of exercise because it's what needs to be done.
But I'm a super nerd when it comes to like double or triple tapping my time. So if I'm starting to train now for a 100-mile bike ride. So when I'm next door on my turbo trainer, I'll have these on with a podcast or an audiobook. So when I'm on there for 2 hours, I'm also consuming 2 hours of content and I'm learning.
Yeah.
Right. And then later on, as my kids are growing up, like if I can include them in my workouts, then I'm spending time with them and I'm keeping fit and healthy. And then maybe we'll put the content on speakers. So they're also subliminally learning some stuff. So you got 3 things there you're hitting in 1 hour of your day. Not even an hour, 45 minutes.
Triple tap.
Just double tap, triple tap, whatever you can do. You know, when people say, "Oh, I haven't got time to read." How much time do you spend commuting every day to work? If you do half an hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, put a podcast on, audiobook in the car, in the subway, and you've got an hour. You've learned for an hour that day. and you've just double tapped your time. Instead of scrolling through Facebook, listening to Morag moaning about her neighbor, do you know what I mean? Do some education.
I love it. My Audible, I'm up to about, I think I've been a subscriber to Audible for about 5 years now. So I'm up to some kind of 70, 80 books.
Even that, mate, sorry to interrupt, but there's, I forget, I think it's called Blink.
Yeah, Blink is
they summarize books, so you can get 7 hours of content in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I've never used it, but it sounds pretty decent.
No, there's a bunch. Headway, Blinkist, but yeah, exactly like you say, they have writers, authors, editors. They read the book and shrink it down into an hour chunk, so you get the important bits.
What about? It's funny, mate. Sorry, I'm getting excited now. I get passionate about this, but it's funny. And I dabbled in the world of coaching a while ago, but other things took priority, and I didn't feel like I could give enough attention to it to give people what they deserved. And when people say stuff like, I haven't got time to meditate, I'm too busy. So I'll be like, okay, what time do you get up in the morning? 6:30. We'll get up at 6:20 and do 10 minutes meditation. And then the light bulb goes off and they're like, well, yeah, it's only 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, when you get home from work and you have dinner and you've done the dishes and it's 7 o'clock and you put the kids to bed, so now it's 8:30. What time do you go to bed? 10:30. What do you do in that 2 hours? I watch Love Island and EastEnders and Big Brother. I'm like, it's 2 hours there that you're wasting. 2 hours you could be doing. And I'm not saying decompressing and doing things you enjoy is wasting time, but you do have the time if you make it a priority. And that's where a lot of people, I think, fall down.
Well, like they say, no plan or no routine is a plan or a routine. You're just not constructively using it. And just as a message and an encouragement for people on that point, date nights and one-on-one time with your kids, it's got to be scheduled. It's got to be in the same way, personal development time, growth time, schedule it, make it a priority. What meditation? Tell me briefly what you get from meditation, because I encourage this with all my clients and Team Super Dad members, and some people really resist it. What do you get out of meditation?
Space, headspace. So there are times when I do go at 150 mile an hour, right? So I'll give you an example. Today I've got up, we're doing stuff for the kids. Becky takes them to school. I'm then email about 50,000 different things. I come on this podcast with you. Then I've got to go to one of my properties and get the toilet unblocked because the tenant's not here, right? And then I've got to go and do the school run and pick the kids up. Then Becky's going to get a haircut, so I've got to cook them dinner. Then I'm going out tonight with a friend of mine, and just like super, super busy. I completely forgot now where we're going with this. I got deep.
Meditation, like what do you get out of meditation?
Oh, right. And so you just like all the time. But 10 minutes in the morning and in the evening, I like to do a little bit longer, or 15, 20 minutes in the evening. You turn the phone off and you decompress, because I have to stay focused on the long-term vision of my life. We talked before we went live about how I've got my own podcast, but I haven't been consistent with it. And I know that I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy talking to people, but stuff gets in the way. But when you focus on it a bit more, that meditation time gives me time, right? Remember the big picture. What's the long-term goal here? Stop wasting time, because I still do it a lot as well. I waste time on stuff that isn't really relevant. It gives me that space to just cut the noise out and refocus and keep on track. Do you know what I mean?
And what's your techniques? Insight timer, just some sort of meditating music, or what's your style? What do you do?
So I do use Insight Timer.
Yeah,
I think that's great. And I've got a little list of my favorite ones. And then I actually do it in the bath. So in the evening, I'll draw the curtain in my bathroom. I'll close the door. The kids know not to come in, and the bathroom's as dark as I can get it. I don't have candles or any of that stuff. I just need it dark. And then I'll put usually my baths are like if I'm doing some sort of recovery from training, so there are Epsom salts and all that's in there, and I'll just either focus on my goals for the year and just keep centered and keep envisaging what I want it to look like by the end of the year, or sometimes I just have a brain dump where I'm like, well, I'm not focusing on anything. I'm just gonna, whatever random crap comes into my head, I'm gonna let it in and then let it out, because we all get really overwhelmed, I think, from time to time, and it's very hard to concentrate. So even when I do meditate, sometimes I'll struggle because I can't think about what I'm supposed to be thinking about.
Yeah.
So I just have those brain dump sessions where I'm like, well, I have no mission here. It's just to come in, let all the stresses, the things that are playing on my mind come to the surface, and then dump them, get out of the bath, and you just feel lighter and more focused.
Yeah. I obviously an advocate of meditating as well, and for pretty much those reasons. And my style is very similar to yours there. Insight Timer, by the way, everyone, is an app. There's been thousands and thousands of different types of meditation tracks on there, all free. There's a paid level as well, but the free stuff is totally open. So get on there and do that. And just before we wrap up, Mark, many dads will be stressed out and worrying about what to do next. This isn't a challenging question, right? But when they've been thinking that for a long time and they're like stuck, worried about making that leap, like what's an encouragement you can give to those men?
If you're talking about, like careers, changes in careers and stuff like that, well, in fact, it doesn't really matter. I think the most important thing to do with any type of change, if you're a dad, you have responsibilities, is to plan for it. Don't take any rash decisions and just jump from one thing to the next without really planning. If you've got a mortgage and you've got children and a wife and all that kind of stuff, but plan, make a plan. Don't make a plan and sit going over it and over it and over and over it. Make a realistic, solid plan. You know what I mean? Be tactical with it.
Yeah.
Because in many ways, I'm in a very fortunate position. I was medically discharged from the military, and I've done stuff over the years, which mean that I don't really need to work. But I do understand from previously, when I left the military the first time when I was able-bodied, and I failed massively. So I understand how that the stress is, the anxiety, the fear of failure, and that can affect people. But I had no plan the first time I left. I just did it because I was angry and annoyed, lots of stuff, and ultimately I failed. So with a lot of things in life, plan stuff, and it's obviously going to be very situation dependent. If you are married, everything, discuss things, talk things over with your wife, with your family, and make sure you've got that backup and support, so it gives you that confidence you need. And then just, if it's realistic and it's possible, do it. Because I can't think of anything worse than just going for years and years and years doing something you hate because you feel you have to. That's 30, 40 years ago, I get that, because your options were limited. We just talked about how you can run a business from a smartphone. Your options aren't so limited nowadays with reference to what you want to do. Some of the richest people, I think, on the planet are 16-year-old lads that play Minecraft on YouTube. It blows my mind. I watch my son watching this stuff, and you see them run through the house playing hide and seek on camera. They've got 4 Lamborghinis in the garage, and they're 21 years old. Don't be afraid. Open your mindset, open your mind, and make a calculated decision.
Brilliant. And people need to just, whatever their situation is, they need to take a look at your situation. And it's not about who's better, who's worse off, who's that, but it's just faced with challenging circumstances and limitations that other people said you could or couldn't do. You've gone out there and absolutely smashed it. And I love something you said in one of your videos, and you even touched on it today, that the crazy thing is more opportunities keep coming your way the more that you swing out and take the world on. And I just believe that's how the world and the universe works. And you're really illustrating that and living that. And so it's been a pleasure, an absolute honor, in fact, to hear you share some of your wisdom and story today, Mark. Thank you.
Mate, before I go, do you mind if I just say something?
Please do, yeah.
Is that all right? It's just, so I don't know if anyone needs to hear this or not, but, and again, like everything, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
The role that we play now as a father and a husband I think it's changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
And I feel personally there's a lot of pressure on men to provide for their families, to be a role model for their children, to be excellent in their job. You know what I mean? I don't think there's ever been that, go back in time and it was, you go to work, you earn the money, wife stays at home, and that there were clear cut roles, if you like. And I just think I've taken on over the years more and more and more roles, and it does have an effect, and you need to talk to other people about the stresses that you're feeling, the anxieties you're feeling, the pressures you're feeling. So I guess what I'm trying to say is wreck that we do have a lot on our plate, and don't be afraid to go and talk to people about it. You know what I mean? And just get it out there and see what other people are dealing with and see what other people can maybe help, because it feels sometimes like an ever increasing pile of pressure to do the very best you can, bring all the money in, pay for the holidays, be there for the school Christmas play and sports days. And it's a lot to do. Yeah. So anyone listening who's struggling, feeling the stresses, just understand that, loads of people understand what you're going through. And if you need to chat to someone about it, don't be afraid to reach out and have that conversation.
Total wisdom there, and an important message that we need to keep saying and keep saying and keep saying. Male suicide rates, female suicide rates, any suicide is a life cut short. And we got to be there for our friends, to have the banter, to take the piss out of the bloke that flipping trod on a mine he should have seen, and then straight afterwards say, is there anything you need? Like, what can I do for you? I'm here for you. It's it doesn't have to be serious, but we do have to look out for each other. So true.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Mark, we'll wrap this up and I'll say goodbye on the other side, but let me play the video and say goodbye to everybody. Mark Ormrod supporters page on Facebook. And that was obviously all Mark's work is on markormrod.com. And we will definitely be seeing your next, 100-mile bike ride?
Yeah, it's my coach's idea.
With blades. You got some special blades for that, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get Peloton to sponsor you. It's going to be sweet. Yeah.
There you go.
Nice one. For everyone watching, thank you very much. You can catch this on the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, then it's been a real pleasure to have you here for the last hour. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you on the wrap up this Friday, where we have a laugh and talk about how our week has gone. I'll see you on the other side.
This has been Team Superdad. Find us at teamsuperdad.com. Join the program and create the best life ever for you and your children. You are not alone. You're on Team Superdad.